Peter didn't understand, right? You get what I'm saying? Because the word church didn't exist. But so he didn't use the word church there. He used a different word that did exist. And I want to talk about that word. Can we put the first slide up, Angie? The word that he said there in the Greek, and I know it's all Greek to us, was ecclesia. Ecclesia. That's why we get the word ecclesiology. He said, on this rock I will build my ecclesia. Now, the word ecclesia existed in the Greek language. People knew this word. It was common everyday language. And this is what the word meant. It meant, the origin of the word is to call out, or the called out ones, but the definition of the word used to be an assembly. An assembly. And so even, if you think about a political party, that would be an ecclesia, a gathering of people with one common, vision. And it's a gathering, it's a congregation, but it's an assembly of people that come together under one common interest. So it was that Christ told Peter, on this rock I will build my assembly of people. In order to have an assembly, you need people that assemble, right? That's what it was. So it wasn't a building. You guys know that, right? On this rock I'll build my No, you already knew that. That's, here's the church, here's the steeple, open the door, here's all the people. It's the people, right? I don't remember how it goes. It's always been the people. It's a movement. This word existed in ancient Greece, and it still exists today in Greek language, and it always means an assembly of people. In other words, you can't have church alone because you didn't assemble anything. So we're already beginning to answer the question, can I be a Christian alone? Can I be a Christian and not go to church? Well, you don't go to church. You be church. So it's hard. That's why it's a yes or no question. It's hard to answer in just a brief time. You don't go to church. You be the church. And if you confess the Messiah, Jesus, as the Son of the living God, then you are the church. You are the church. You're part of the church. You make up the church. What's the purpose of the church? And I think in the next line we get an idea. It says, heaven and earth did not reveal this to you. Flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you, Peter, you are Peter, on this rock I will build my ecclesia, and the gates of hell, Hades in your version, will not prevail against it. That the reason Jesus is bringing all these people together and assembling them under the confession that he is Lord is because he's bringing his kingdom down. And we're part of it. It's called upon to crush down, to smash down the gates of hell. That's the purpose of the church right there. To smash down the gates of hell, because hell now reigns in this world. But now that the kingdom has come and the church has assembled, there's the opportunity for hell, for the gates to be opened, and we can go into every dark place and bring redemption, restoration. That's the church. I was going to read to you from Acts, but I think I'm going to save that till next week because I have a lot more to talk to you about today. But so the question is, can I be a Christian and not go to church? Well, Christianity, the very essence of Christianity, is confessing Jesus as Messiah. And if you confess him as Messiah, then you are the church. You already are the church. Now, this makes it's really hard for me to say, yeah, it's okay for you to not come to church because I know my whole livelihood depends on whether or not you come, right? But I'm really wrestling with this because I know, like you know, people who don't go to church, but they're Christians, and they're actually really good ones, like out there. You know what I mean? And I also know people who are not Christian at all and are really good people out there. And I also know people in here, I'm not going to name names. That wouldn't be nice. No, I don't know anybody personally. I've heard stories. There are people in here that don't always live up to the truest sense of the Christian faith, right? They go to church, they're active in church, but maybe they don't look like Jesus. So this is it's a tough question, but I want to say, John Wesley said this, there is no such thing as a solitary Christian. You cannot be, it doesn't make any sense to be a Christian alone. The very nature of you professing Christ means you belong to his church. You belong to his church. It's not a building. It's comprised of saved people of God who do life together. I am going to turn just to Acts for just a little bit. The first church looked like this. It says in Acts chapter 2, verse 43. We're going to go down to verse 43. It says, awe came upon everyone because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together. All who believed were together, and they had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time in the temple, listen to this. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they're Jews. The first Christians were Jews. They're still going to temple. Like they're doing Jewish stuff, right? They're not going to church because there ain't no church. Church is them. They're going to the temple, and that's cool. They're still living out life the way they've always known it, except now they confess and profess Jesus as their Messiah. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread together at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their numbers those who were being saved. You get the idea here that Christianity, the church, was more than 10:15 on Sunday. Day by day, it was doing life together. They met in each other's homes. Yeah, they would go to corporate worship at the temple every once in a while, but then they would come home and they'd break bread, and if someone in the church had a need, someone who had more would give to that need. That's the church. They were being church, and it was doing life together. That's the essence of what the first church looked like. Now, we have all sorts of other things that comprise church today. We have an organ, we have a screen. I mean, every church has to have a screen, right? No, we didn't think that 20 years ago. Every church mustn't have a screen, like a good church, right? And we have, we have a bell that we toll, and we have a liturgy, a way of going through worship. I'm not sure any of that matters. Those are all just cultural forms. It's like going to the temple. It's something we relate to and like and get. That's how we approach one another. That's how we approach God. That's okay. The forms we have are beautiful, but you wouldn't say that our Orthodox brother and sister, their church looks nothing like this, right? They come before icons with candles. The pastor doesn't preach as long, though they have to stand the whole time. There's no pews, and you wouldn't say that's not church. That's just forms, right? Or if we go down to maybe a black gospel church down in the South or whatever, their church is very different than ours, and we wouldn't say that's not church. All this other stuff, this is just forms, right? Do you get that that's not church either? The church is not a building, and it's not forms. The church is you and me. It's us. This is us. It's living life together. It's impossible to profess Christ and not belong to the church. The nature of the confession puts you right in there. And Christ has a mission for you, a purpose for bringing you together. It's so that the gates of hell will not prevail. When I came in on Tuesday and Bob Berg was doing his demolition on the narthex, which he loves to do, he's really good at taking things down. I was looking at all these people, and they're stripping the narthex, and all of a sudden I got worried, because we've been talking about doing a little remodel for a year, but now change was happening, right? And it was good when we were just thinking about it, but now that it's happening, a little anxiety, because I was worried about some of you, right? Well, I was thinking, if my heart's fluttering a little bit because change is happening, what's going to happen when some of you see it, And then they come to me and this is what I worry about, you guys. And I'm feeling that anxiety. And I talked to John Harrington down at the YMCA. I said, John, I came in on Tuesday, and I got to tell you, I've been waiting for this change. But as it's starting to go, I'm a little bit, I'm scared, because it's change. And if it makes me scared, what is it going to make other people feel like? And John says, you're right.